have defeated the Dallas Cowboys. They are heading to the playoffs.
Well, hi, everyone. It's good to be home. Yeah. It's NFL Primetime, and we get to do it. Chris Berman along with Tom Jackson. Well, Wild Card Saturday was pretty awesome, wasn't it?
It was great, Boom.
Would Wild Card Sunday be the same? That's what we're here to show you here on NFL Primetime. Two teams that got in the playoffs in very exciting fashion the final Sunday of the season. Philadelphia Eagles learning mathematically they were alive just minutes before they took the field against Dallas. Then they thrashed the Cowboys. Minnesota Vikings had to come from behind to beat the champion Giants to win their division. So here we go, two old friends, two old confidants, Andy Reid and Brad Childress, and young quarterback DeSean Jackson and Donovan McNabb going against the leading rusher in football, Adrian Peterson, and Brian Westbrook, the all-purpose extravagant. And very early on, it's DeSean Jackson, the mercurial little guy for the Eagles on a punt return. And here we go. The Eagles returning a punt in business, 62 yards, leads to a field goal, 3-0. Akers was 4 for 4 in field goals from Louisville.
Yes.
Peterson. And Brian Dawkins laid the lumber.
Well, Brian Dawkins is the guy who sets the tone for this football team. There you see helmet to helmet. There was no penalty called on the play. I don't think Brian would have cared. And the doctors do a job, and the trainer, of checking out Adrian Peterson on the sideline after that hit.
Chester Taylor is in, and bang! He finds out very quickly that Brian Dawkins is there as well.
And look at him. Lay the leather right there. But again, he likes to let you know that you're playing a contact sport when you come up against the Eagles.
It's 6-0 now. Another Akers field goal. Peterson up the middle, and bang! He could go all the way. 40 yards, just like that. The home run hitter hits a home run in the Homer Dome. 7-6 Minnesota.
And look at the offensive line. Does a great job, along with the fullback, of holding those blocks long enough for Adrian Peterson to find the cutback lane. He gets through and does a great job of getting to the end zone. They celebrate on the sideline, and Brian Dawkins not happy about that run.
Well, he'd be happy about this. 9-7 now. The Eagles have taken the lead on the field goal. Asante Samuel. He does this time after time. And he's in there. Boy, that Chris Clemens, the big man, number 91, lays a big block. 16-7. Philadelphia was the quarterback Jackson that got plowed.
Yeah, and ESPN Access right here. Just watch what happens. You know, you've got DeSean Jackson attempting to look the defenders off, but you can see clearly Asante Samuel is looking right back at the quarterback. Does a great job of planting that right foot, jumping on that football, and getting headed toward the other end zone.
And then here's the block on Jackson. Now Samuel has returned 4 postseason interceptions for touchdowns. That's the most in NFL history. Remember how he did so well with the New England Patriots. It's one of the reasons why the Eagles got him. Now, later in the second, Jackson to Bernard Berrian. And this started to be impressive because the game was getting out of hand, but Minnesota answered, Tom. It's a 27-yard pickup. Chester Taylor, he ran well up the middle for 8 yards. Then Chester Taylor bouncing up the middle again. Burke with the block and company. Hutchinson inside the 10. 2 plays later, Peterson left side, McKinney's side. Great drive, Vikings. They've answered, and they trail 16-14 at the half. Now, defense and ineffective offense took over in the third quarter. Adrian Peterson, no game. Later in the drive, Adrian Peterson, he could hit a home run at any time, but no game. 6 carries, 10 yards, third quarter. Westbrook in the third quarter. You're just not running on the Vikings, the best run defense in football. 1-yard loss. And even without Pat Williams, there's a 2-yard game. Westbrook, 26 total yards for 3 quarters. But in the fourth, how do we change it? Throw a little screen. McNabb, Westbrook, block there, a move there. What? At the 50, and he could go all the way, 71 yards with DeSean Jackson down the field.
Yeah, great hustle by DeSean. Got that block actually with his back, shielded the guy off as Westbrook went into the end zone.
So now Philly back up 9, 23-14. DeSean Jackson, 3.5 to go, scrambling. 17 yards in Eagle territory. The next play, though, this was it. Whoop! The snap at his feet by Matt Berg. You just don't see this that much, but it was it.
Yeah, we took a look at it in real speed. This is in slow motion, but this ball got to Tavares way before he had a chance to field it, hit him on the ankles. Eagles recover, and that really was your ball game, Boom.
And then Donovan McNabb actually caught the ball on the last errant pass. He just has fun, doesn't he?
Yes.
And why wouldn't he have fun? The Philadelphia Eagles move on. They kick another field goal late to beat the Minnesota Vikings 26-14 in the Vikings' first home playoff game in 8 years. The two friends, Andy Reid, Brad Childress, some nice words together at midfield after the game. But afterwards, it was Philadelphia once again. Every time they've made the playoffs under Andy Reid, that's 7 times, they've won their first playoff game. There's something to be said about that. Philly moving on to play the Giants.
There were opportunities to score touchdowns. We didn't capitalize on it. But you know what? This team just continued to work hard. And I think really the key to this game was time of possession, which kept us in the game and let our defense just kind of attack Tavares.
I was proud, obviously, of the way our defense played in the second half. And shutting out the Vikings became very important as the game went on.
They didn't do anything different. They actually probably slowed down a little bit for us blitzing, but we just didn't execute. I guess we never got on the same page.
Knew it was going to be a field position game. Obviously, they got 7 points off a turnover, or they got 3 points off a punt return, and playoff football with a 9-point difference. That ends up being it.
Well, disappointing, Brad Childress in his first playoff game. But look, here's what on 20 carries Adrian Peterson did. He had the home run, of course, the 40-yard touchdown. Twice for negative yards, Tom. 4 times for no yards, and 13 times for 1 to 6 yards. So whatever. Jim Johnson and company, it was what? Run blitzing. It was Brian Dawkins. It was overall awareness and tackling first. It wasn't about forcing the fumbles, which he's done. It was making sure they wrapped.
Well, mission accomplished, because you don't want Adrian Peterson to control the football game with 2 or 3 of those extremely long runs of his for touchdowns. So he had the one long run of 40 yards where he hits the middle of the field. Great blocking by the Minnesota offensive line, gets the cutback, and then gets into the end zone. And you saw Brian Dawkins during the highlight package, very upset, because I know it's the one thing that they were guarding against. They did a great job of run blitzing where you play the runner on your way to the quarterback. So this doubles not only to stop the run, but to get some pressure on the passer as well. And if you look at these situations, 1st and 10, 1st and 5, if you can stop the run and start dictating down and distance to the opposing team, then you're going to have a lot of success, because your coordinator defensively going to be very comfortable making his calls.
Minnesota statistically ran okay for 148, but what they did to Peterson really...
He was held under 100 yards. I thought the number was, for them to win, he had to get 200 yards today against the Philadelphia Eagles for them to win that.
Well, he was a long way off. And Donovan McNabb, although it didn't feel like it, had a 300-yard passing game. And the Eagles, look, they didn't play quite with the, I don't want to say frenzy, quite with what you saw against Dallas. But the Eagles, remember, there's a team, Tom, playing with house money. They're very dangerous.
Well, you know, it's funny, because we sat and watched the game, and even though it was 16-14 Eagles, and we knew that the Vikings were within a field goal of taking the lead, you just never sensed that something was going to happen where the Minnesota Vikings were going to take the lead and win that game. And I don't really know how to explain that. It was just a feeling that we had as we watched.
Except the Vikings, and we mean this not as a cut, but they're goofy. I said that before. They gave up their 12th return of some sort this year for a touchdown. They had the bad snap. I know the turnovers were 2-2, but they give up the punt. They just...
The snap off the ankle. It's a lot of things. They won
the division, and they should be proud, and a lot to build on.
Yes.
But Philadelphia looked like the team that expected, that knew where they were, and that's why the Eagles are moving on to play the Giants. When we return, we're moving on. AFC Wildcard Sunday. Ravens, Dolphins, 2 teams with major turnarounds. We'll keep it going. marvelous turnarounds. The Dolphins 1-15 to 11-5, a 10-game turnaround, never better in the NFL. The Baltimore Ravens 5-11, the only team the Dolphins beat a year ago. They also 11-5, both with rookie head coaches. Here we go from South Florida. Two teams very hot down the stretch under Tony Sparano and John Harbaugh, the mentors. And Chad Pennington, what a change of address for him. A fourth time he's had a team in the playoffs. The other three, obviously, the Jets. Early on, no score. Pennington to Patrick Cobbs. Don't tell me the Miracle Dolphins are going to keep it going inside the Ravens' 10-yard line. But on 3rd and goal, I think Baltimore is a good defense, Tom. Ronnie Brown, nothing. Stop short. Do you go for it? Yeah. Let's get the first points on the board. 3-0 Miami. Now tied at 3. Second quarter. Pennington out of the pocket. Watch Bart Scott. And look out! And it forces him to throw it at Jim Leonard. And what didn't the Dolphins do all year? Turn the ball over Ravens defense.
Yeah, and we take another look at this. Bart Scott is really in coverage on Ricky Williams. Once he makes sure that Ricky Williams is going to block, he sees Pennington break the pocket, comes up, gives him a heck of a lick, forces the ball to be thrown high, forces the turnover. Another look right there. Pennington won right under the chin.
He's tough, and the Dolphins hang tough at 3-3, but then here you go. Pressure, looking for Ted Ginn. He falls down. Ed Reed. He's around the ball. He Willie Mazes it, right? But no, here comes Ed Reed. Always dangerous to go. Makes the move. What? And then picks up blockers left, right, center. He could go all the way. 64 yards. The Ravens defense turns into offense once again.
And that's the thing of beauty about this defense. They understand getting out in front of a guy and getting blocked. You look right there. Actually, Chad Pennington has pretty good protection. Delivers the ball inside rather than outside. You can see that Ginn was looking for the ball, and remember where Ginn was when this play starts. And Ed Reed then takes on the personality of a great return man. Here, Nada lining up Ginn, who's done a great job of hustling down the field. Suggs cleans up Pennington inside the 10. The hop by Ed Reed, and he's in the end zone.
So Ted Ginn remembered nada. As the Ravens take a 13-3 lead second half, Fabian Washington had a lot of hits there in the 50s and early 60s. But the Dolphins fans weren't pleased to hear this record as Pennington picked off again. Bill Parcells knows his old music, but he also knows no turnovers are good. Then, next Dolphin possession, Cobbs, handoff. Fumble! Loose ball as Marcus Douglas makes the hit, along with Roll, and Terrell Suggs falls on the ball.
Yeah, this defense, including Douglas, does such a great job of swarming to the football. It comes out a lot.
Sets up. He's a maverick. Fullback, LaRon McClain, into the end zone, and the Ravens lead it 20-3. Now the Dolphins desperate. But you'll never guess who was involved for the Ravens. For the third straight game, Ed Reed has 2 interceptions. Another pick of Pennington, and he just smells it, Tom.
Yeah, you get a great shot here. Look to the right side of the hash marks. Look how far he comes, and the great break that he gets on the football, and he's as comfortable catching the ball as any defender I've ever seen.
The Dolphins have scored. They missed the extra point at 29, and is it at 20-9? Is it a game? Well, no. Like that Dallas game, here comes the big running. Willis McGahee. 48 yards, setting up a Joe Flacco scramble. And there's John Harbaugh, offensive coordinator Cam Cameron, who he has a lock on this thing. Baltimore won in that stadium twice as Cameron, the offensive coordinator, does a marvelous job for Harbaugh. I'm with Flacco. Last year, he was the Dolphin coach. The only game they won against Baltimore. He's got that game down.
It's a great story, Boom.
And the Ravens roll on. The Dolphins' marvelous season comes to a thud as Baltimore does what they always do. They led the league in turnovers, and guess what? They forced 5 more, starting with 2 picks by Ed Reed.
I mean, my teammates, you know, being where they're supposed to be, studying the tape the way we study the tape, you know, knowing where the ball is going to go at certain times, you know, and just playing our responsibility and reading the quarterback.
And sooner or later, you know, we got to bend the break mentality. And the bottom line is we're going to find a way to get to you, and we're going to find a way to turn the ball over. And today we've done a great job doing that. Ed is great, but everybody back there, man, this freaking team, this defense, man, they're just relentless. And the way we get after each other and the way we hold each other accountable, you know, that's what you appreciate. You know, anytime you have a team like this, chemistry is always the greatest thing, you know, to be on your way to a championship. And today we started a great journey.
We knew we had to get a hat on those guys, you know, specifically the linebacker level. And, you know, we had a couple of run-throughs early on, caused us to get into some 2nd and 12s, maybe those type of situations. You can't play behind the chains against this team. You got to be out in front.
No, and out in front is hard to get against the Ravens. The numbers you need to see are the bottom 2 lines. 13 turnovers, a league best all year by Miami. They made 5 on this day. What's that, about 40% of their season total? And then Chad Pennington picked up only 7 times all year, 4 on this day. So that was the Dolphins' MO, not to do it. The Ravens' MO was to force it. The Ravens won in impressive fashion that way. And this is what Baltimore does. And look, this was, you look at numbers offense, okay, they ran the ball for about $150. But that Ravens defense, it just sets it. It's not an accident that they do this.
Well, I don't think people realize how hard they work, Ed Reed, Ray Lewis and company, to do what they do on Sunday afternoons. And the calling card of the Ravens has always been the defensive side of the football. They are great at making plays, getting the ball in their hands. Ed Reed, we come to expect him making a play on the ball. I said it during the highlight package, as comfortable as anybody I've ever seen when the ball is coming toward him. A lot of defenders, you see him drop the football, and then he has great return skills once he gets the ball in his hands. Look at the break he makes on the ball right there. Now, these are the big plays. These are the plays that make a difference. But I think that at the heart of this defense is stopping the run, creating down and distance situations that benefit us and the play caller, our defensive coordinator, so that we can go after the quarterback. When the Dolphins ran the Wildcat, they attacked it. Because they knew that the guy taking the snap was not a guy comfortable with people coming at him. So they've got a lot of things figured out, and they could take this defense and ride it along with their running game and this young quarterback a long way.
And by the way, I said, let's see, 5 of the last 7 games, Ed Reed has had 2 picks in. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yes.
That Wildcat, it helped transform the Dolphins in a marvelous season. And I thought on both sides of the ball, really, it made them hard-nosed. But they are, and I mean, no disrespect, Tom, cruiserweights in the hard-nosed division compared to the Baltimores, the Tennessees, and the Pittsburgh. They weren't quite ready for this thunder. And that's not that they weren't ready, they weren't coached. It's just Baltimore brings a little more than I think Miami's quite yet ready to handle. Agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with it. They're a veteran group. They're playoff honed. They were ready to go somewhere, and they didn't care where and win a football game. Very confident.
Oh, we're on the road because we're the 6th seed. We're playing Tennessee next. We don't care. Of course, Tennessee will be waiting. That will be Foreman against Frazier.
Bloodbath.
And congratulations to Miami for one of the best stories that we have seen. Baltimore, rookie quarterback, winning playoff game. Very interesting. When we return, next week's games, we're down to 8. We'll take a quick look. Tom and I return. NFC matchups are set Saturday evening. The Cardinals at the Panthers, and the Panthers won. They beat everybody. They're undefeated at home this year, but the Cardinals hung with them in Week 8. Then the Eagles at the Giants. It's the Sunday early game, and both teams have won on the other team's field. And so there will be no mystery between the Eagles and the Giants in this game. And, of course, one thing stopping Peterson, he's the leading rusher. Another thing trying to stop Jacobs and company. It's a different sort of running attack.
Well, I think that the Eagles will be very comfortable going in and playing the Giants. Anytime you play somebody in the playoffs that's in your division, you know you go there once a year. The Eagles had some success in Week 14, beating the Giants there. So that intimidation factor of being the #1 seed, being the defending world champions, that will be almost non-existent against the Philadelphia Eagles. You will win that one on the playing field in between the lines.
The thing that was interesting about Arizona's win over Atlanta was they really shackled Turner and company running the ball. Shackling D'Angelo Williams and company for Carolina on the road, that'll be maybe a taller task.
Boom, this is going to be a different challenge at the line of scrimmage, all about D'Angelo Williams, Jonathan Stewart, the offensive line, and the power running game that they like to employ. They like to make a statement at the line of scrimmage. We are bigger, badder, more powerful than you. We are going to wear you down by the end of the football game. And if they are able to do that, it's amazing how the passing game and throwing the ball up to Steve Smith will follow and be successful.
The AFC games, now you want Foreman against Frazier, Ravens at Titans. That's Saturday, the late afternoon game, and a rematch of a game. What a surprise, it was 13-10 the first time. And Chargers at Steelers, the only 11-10 game ever in NFL history. That's the Sunday late game. Now, the interesting thing about this is we've said Tennessee and Pittsburgh and Baltimore, they're all similar style of teams. San Diego, not quite defensively, but they're the offense that can push the envelope a lot. Interesting.
Well, I'm excited about all of it, but when you start thinking about those Pittsburgh Steelers against the San Diego Chargers, the Ravens going up against the defense of the Tennessee Titans, the Tennessee Titans going up against the defense of the Baltimore Ravens, and then finally the Pittsburgh Steelers with, I think, a Charger defense that playing right now as well as any defense in football. You know, like I said, I get excited about all of it, but those four defenses, my goodness, I use the term bloodbath. Could be a bloodbath amongst all four of them.
Absolutely. And I don't know what this means also, but in the regular season, San Diego has played in Pittsburgh 13 times. They've not yet won. But in the postseason, they have played in Pittsburgh twice. And they have won both times, including that 94 championship game. I know that's a while ago, Junior. Say I was a youngster back then. They got to the Super Bowl. All the other numbers, in fact, 0-13, 2-0. So, Chargers clearly a cold weather team. They're a December, January team under Norv, but Pittsburgh will have other ideas. When we return, primetime performance.
Inside the Numbers, brought to you by Visa. Go on.
Ed Reed of the Baltimore Ravens, this is a typical day for him. He had 2 picks. He had 1 return for a touchdown, about 60-plus yards. Not a bad day, first game of the playoffs.
And this is a typical day for Brian Dawkins, setting the tone, laying the lumber, the heart and soul of that Philly defense. So safeties get the game ball. And when you think about those 2 guys and Troy Polamalu in the next round of the playoffs, pretty good stuff. For Tom Jackson, I'm Chris Berman. Thanks for watching Primetime.